So as of now, we know all of January's episodes. Pokemon! 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 Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to another Pokemon XY&Z anime discussion. Today we're going to talk about all the titles that were revealed and a small sneak peek of what's to come in 2016. So, I wanted to make this video earlier, but thankfully I decided to wait until now because we finally got another episode title. I was really thinking of doing it today. I was planning on doing it the other days, but it didn't feel right. And then I'm like, okay, so today, or rather tomorrow, which would be today, I was like, okay, I'm going to make a video. And then when I woke up, new title. The final title for the January month. So that's good. Good that I waited so that way we can get all the discussion in one particular video. So I'm not going to talk about what we're potentially going to get in the upcoming episodes preview outside of what we already saw, and that will be discussed as well. There was a Pokemon Code JP YouTube channel uploaded a video that had to deal with like Team Flare and stuff, and there were 3 scenes that I will talk about, but the special with the upcoming episodes preview special coming out on the 31st or whatever, the 30th, 31st or whatever, I will only discuss my speculation on that along with the review for the Terminus episode, which is, as of this recording, going to air in a couple of days. Like 2 days from now, less than 48 hours, we're probably going to get a new episode, and that'll be the final episode of the year. So yeah, so there's a lot of things to discuss in this particular episode, and this is another reason why I wanted to do another video, a separate video. I mean, due to technical difficulties, I can't just keep wasting my time just recording videos and rendering and editing them, but there are times where I can make an exception. See, if I had the other laptop, I would probably be making a lot more videos, but because rendering a video from my editing software takes up so many resources, when my video is rendering, it just takes too it just takes too long, and I can't really do anything else, and I really don't want to wait like 4 hours waiting for a 40-minute video to render because this laptop isn't the best. So yeah, that's why I don't make a lot of videos, and I can only make one a week usually, but occasionally I like to do other videos, separate videos, just because it makes sense, you know, like Koro Koro, Pokemon Fan, whatever happens at that time, that I'll keep separate videos. And since I don't want this clog up the Tremendous review episode, episode preview review, I'm just going to go ahead and do this here, and then for the Terminus episode, I'll discuss the review, and then I will discuss upcoming episode preview that we'll probably get on New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve, whatever day it actually comes out in the United States. I think it's actually the 30th. So yeah, I'll definitely be making a video on Wednesday, probably at night, in reference, and I'll probably upload it on the 31st in the United States or whatever. So anyway, let's jump right in because we have a lot to discuss, and this is probably going to be a 40-minute video, probably. Maybe. We'll see. So, okay, so the first episode, if you remember, there's going to be a 21-day break pretty much, although on the 21st day we will get a new episode, and that'll be January 14th, but it'll still be 20 days before we actually get a new episode after the Terminus episode. So the first episode, XY&Z episode 10, that will air January 14th, is Bonnie and Squishy. And the mini summary that came with it said Bonnie is worried about both it and the fact that Bumblebee has been injured. What will she do? Now, if you go to Cerebi forums and you've seen D-Man Dustin, which is me, if you see me making comments, you'll know that I'm not exactly happy with this particular episode, and I still pretty much hate that this is the first episode of the new year. And I feel like this is just a wasted opportunity all around for everything. It's not that I hate Bonnie, because I actually like Bonnie and everything like that. But, given the fact that the writers and the producers decided to give her Zygarde Core, Puni-chan, she has been taking a central focus. I feel like even more so than Serena, even though Serena just had a uh, Pokemon Showcase Tri-Pokelon recently. But the problem is that because Bonnie has Puni-chan or whatever, it seems like after Ash, she's the one that has the most focus in regards to the X, Y, and Z series, because it is important for the X, Y, and Z series, and it has to deal with Team Flare and everything like that. So Bonnie is already getting a lot of focus just for taking care of Puni-chan. But to have a dedicated episode right now in regards to Bonnie and Puni-chan, especially Bumblebee, that also needs to be addressed as well, is kind of leaving a bitter taste in my mouth, because it's like, really, why does this need to actually be an episode? Now, there are some speculations that this is probably the fallout to the Terminus episode, which is fine, but the only problem is the fact that Bumblebee is mentioned and being injured. And here's the thing, I appreciate a little bit as regards to other people that Bumblebee is actually getting focus. But what doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and I know people will disagree because Clement is Bonnie's brother, and therefore his Pokemon is pretty much her Pokemon, technically, so she would worry about his Pokemon more than like Ash's and Serena's Pokemon, at least in the same regards. But the problem here is, I probably wouldn't have a problem if this was just Bonnie and Puny-chan and other things, but when you add Bumblebee to it, and Clement hasn't gotten anything since maybe, if you want to consider the building the electric generator, rebuilding the electric generator in X and Y, where Chespin and Bumblebee had their day off or whatever, and they were trying to buy a part for Clement. If you want to consider that Clement centric, I believe that's the last episode that Clement has received a lot of focus. So having Bumblebee be injured, but have it be about Bonnie and Puny-chan as well, leaves a bitter taste, because it's completely ignoring the fact that Clement has not gotten anything for a severe long time. Bonnie has Puny-chan and has gotten plenty of focus because of that. Ash, we had the whole first episode with his rival Sawyer slash Soda, whatever you want to call him, and then of course we had Greninja, and then we had Serena and her Pokemon Showcase. Having Bumblebee receive focus while Clement likely isn't, is what is leaving me in the bad taste. Especially when you know what the next episode is, you're kind of wondering, well, why couldn't the Pokemon that will get a lot of focus in the next episode also appear to get a little bit more focus? Maybe this will be an episode where they get separated, and it kind of makes sense that we've had episodes in the past where Pokemon and trainers get mixed up because they got separated from like Team Rocket or some other reason. Like the last one, I believe, was technically because of Pangoro. It was indirectly caused by Team Rocket, because Team Rocket was the one that irritated Pangoro, but it was primarily Pangoro that caused the next one. So something like that could have happened, but a focus episode about Bonnie, Puny-chan, and Bumblebee just doesn't really work for me. Because what honestly I feel like should have been this episode instead should have been Clement being separated with his Pokemon and have it be a Clement centric episode, and it'd have Clement, Luxray, Chespin, Bunnelby, and they would have to battle all these angry wild Pokemon just to get back to Bonnie, Puni-chan, Ash, and Serena. Even if this is a direct cause of the Terminus episode, I feel like Bunnelby being injured doesn't really make that much sense, since I'm not entirely sure I remember Bunnelby being mentioned for the Terminus episode. So even if this is like a second parter to the Terminus episode, and it happens when Bonnie, Bunnelby, and Puny-chan get separated and they're injured, I still don't like it. And I will tell you why in a moment, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the speculation that I have, is that Bonnie will be separated from everyone with Puny-chan and Squishy, or that's the same thing. Puny-chan and Bunnelby, and she will not know what to do because she has to take care of the Pokemon themselves. So while Ash, Clement, and Serena will probably try and find her. So I'm not exactly happy about that, because this really seems to be primarily filler. So then let's move on to the next episode, which is both awesome and disappointing when you consider the last episode of January. And there may be some speculation that I'll discuss in the last episode of January, but let's jump right into it. So the January 21st episode is Noibat and Floette, an encounter in the wind. I don't know what I was going to say. I think I was going to say Baby Florges or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, Noibat and Floette, an encounter in the wind. Noibat has ended up angering a Breloom. A passing Floette comes to the rescue, but now this is good and bad for multiple reasons. It's good because finally there's going to be a heavy Noibat focus episode. But the bad news is, based on the title for the following episode, if Noibat is going to evolve in January, it seems like it's going to evolve in this episode. And I pretty much predicted that the next heavy focused Noibat episode was likely going to be its evolution episode, which is why I'm not entirely happy. Now, it's not entirely confirmed. The next episode, there is a small chance that Noibat could evolve in that, although it'd be a very weird moment and would make more sense for it to evolve in this Floette episode, but whatever. So we get here. We see Noibat angering a Breloom, probably using attacks. Ash is training Noibat probably, and Breloom gets in the fray, and then a passing Floette comes and helps out. Now, the most basic and probable speculation is that this is going to be it's probably going to be, well, I'm not sure what I can compare it to, but it's probably going to be Ash and Noibat separated from all the other characters, and Ash is training Noibat, and then of course Breloom gets involved, and then a Floette tries to come and help, but Breloom is stronger, and of course Noibat and Floette will become friends, and what will likely happen is Floette will probably get attacked by a Pokemon, and then of course Noibat will probably evolve, most likely to protect Floette, and then everything will be happy, and everything will happen. Sorry. Woo! Everything that will happen will happen. There we go. Woo! I don't know what that was. I can't speak apparently. So yeah. There are other things that we need to discuss about this episode. One, Noibat could just get a lot of focus in this particular episode, but I still think it's going to evolve. Unless the first February episode happens to be Noibat's evolution, but we also have to consider that Eevee is evolving as well relatively soon, so this looks like it's going to be the evolution Noibat evolves into Noivern, which I'm not entirely happy. And in relation to the Bonnie and Puny-chan episode, I feel like it should have been Noibat and Squishy, Puni-chan, and Bonnie, and then Noibat would have gotten a lot of focus. Because I'm not entirely sure how much focus Noibat is going to get in the Terminus episode. It might use another attack that's not called Supersonic, and that kind of makes sense. I mean, we did see the Pokenechi preview where Noibat actually appeared, but it was just there, so I don't know if Noibat is actually going to battle, but I feel like Noibat being here would have made sense because Noibat could have like defended against wild Pokemon and would have gotten a little bit more focus, even if Ash wasn't there. And then the heavy focus episode, the following episode, could have been the evolution just fine. If episode 11, the January 21st episode, happens to be Noibat's evolution to Noivern, then what the hell was the point of Noibat to begin with? Noibat should have definitely been caught as an already strong Pokemon, and then it would have made sense. Who knows? It may have even been used against Olympia, and who knows? A lot of other things could have happened if Noibat wasn't an egg Pokemon. So, yeah, this is going to be a bittersweet episode. It's going to be sweet because it's going to be a Noibat heavy focus episode, and it'll be slightly sweet if Noibat does evolve into Noivern, but it's going to be bitter because of everything that's not happening with Noibat. I mean, Noibat probably will appear in episode 10, Bonnie and Puni-chan, but it's probably not going to get any focus. It's probably just going to appear along with Talonflame and look for Bonnie, so I'm not really looking for that. I mean, I suppose maybe Noibat will be training and then Bonnie will get separated, but I really am not expecting much of Noibat in the 10th episode. So now, as for Floette, there's also two speculations that, or three possibilities that I want to discuss. One, maybe someone will actually capture Floette. Because it's Noibat, I would expect Ash to capture Floette more than any other character, because if some other character shows up to capture Floette, it's going to be very... it's going to leave a bitter taste in my mouth. So, like, if Serena shows up, and she's like, oh, hey, let me capture this Floette, even though it's about when it should be about Ash and Noibat training and maybe even evolving, having Serena just be like, oh, a cute Floette, and then having a little bonding moment and capturing Floette would be kind of weird or whatever. So yeah, not really liking it. But that's just one possibility that someone might capture Floette. Two, now there is a lot of speculation within the forums that maybe this is AZ's Floette, Eternal Form, or Eternal Flower Floette. And, you know, that could happen. That makes sense to me. It could happen. A lot of people are saying that AZ and Floette is too mature for Pokemon, but I remember one of the writers of the XY&Z series, the one that was Serena focused, did say that Pokemon was supposed to get darker and more mature. And so, and AZ and Floette's storyline is pretty less dark than a lot of things that I've seen. I've seen darker themes in Dragon Ball Z, even if that's not targeting children and probably like teens and adults more or whatever. But then of course let's not forget about Digimon Tamers. And Digimon Tamers was incredibly dark for a children's show, even though there was controversy. But even if there was controversy in regards to Digimon Tamers, AZ and Floette have a less dark and less mature, well, I wouldn't say less mature, but it's less dark than what we got from Digimon Tamers, which was incredibly dark for a children's series. So AZ's Floette could potentially show up here. Now, the third option, and probably the one that I'm thinking is most likely going to happen, If it is going to be captured, probably not going to be captured now, and maybe a recurring character, but I think it's probably just going to be a random colored flower or floette and probably not going to be important. But it would be really cool if it was AZ's floette, and maybe it would have like some sort of connection with the Team Flare arc, and maybe we'll see AZ, and then maybe we'll have that particular arc going for the X, Y, and Z series come March, April, after the league or whatever. You know, there's a lot of possibilities happening and stuff or whatever. So I think that's pretty much. I think this is going to be heavily focused on Noibat. Hopefully, Noibat uses moves outside of Supersonic, but I'm thinking this is going to be an evolution. And because Floette is in this particular episode, I'm a little disappointed that Noibat would probably, if it's going to evolve, is going to evolve because of Floette rather than because of what I would have liked, which is protecting either one of Ash's Pokemon like Halucha especially, and Talonflame could even be a case too, but I was also hoping for Noibat to evolve to protect Ash. So having a random Floette appear and Noibat evolving for it kind of seems. I'm not liking it basically, but if that's what happens, that's what happens. So finally, the final episode of January, episode 12, is we didn't get a mini summer, we just got a title, and it's Ash and Serena getting one at a dance party. Now, as you probably have already heard, if you've seen a lot of my videos, I'm not really into shipping. I'm not really into shipping at all because I really don't care. It's not like I don't think it's possible, although it'd be kind of weird for it to happen. I'm just not really into the whole characters falling in love really, because it doesn't seem like that should be the focal point of Pokemon. It maybe like a side series, maybe we can get some romance, but Pokemon seems like it's too action packed and Pokemon related that throwing in some sort of romantic thing going on just really wouldn't work. But hey, if you're into a more shipping, there you go. Ash and Serena getting it on. I mean, getting one at the dance party. Whoops. Well, so this could be taken in many ways. One thing that seems pretty obvious is that they're going to get something at a dance party. What that is, I have no idea. Now, it would be really cool, even though a lot of people are probably against it because there hasn't been any sort of hint or anything going at it, but they think that maybe they will be catching a Pokemon at this particular dance party or getting a Pokemon at this particular dance party, which would be really cool. Ash and Serena getting their own special Pokemon, and if a lot of people's speculations in regards to more shipping are right, then probably maybe they'll both be getting Esper at this particular dance party and evolving into Mastic. I know that doesn't seem likely, but hey, that's also one thing. Or it could just be random Pokemon. Speaking of Floette, if Floette is going to be a capture and it is a recurring character, I almost expect Floette to actually be captured at this particular party. But it is not confirmed whatsoever that there is a Pokemon being captured. Because Defender or Adamant, depending on which forum you go to, one that can translate, has said that it could also be referring to getting a badge or a princess key, but we can all guess that they're not going to get a badge or a princess key in this particular episode because this dance party is neither a gym battle nor a Pokemon showcase. I mean, Ash is probably could potentially get a badge here. Wolfric could appear, be in the dance party. They could have a battle. They could have like a dancing battle or whatever, and Ash potentially could get the iceberg badge, I believe it is, in this particular episode. But Serena could not get a princess key during this episode. But I don't know. But so I don't think it's a badge, and I don't think it's a princess key. So that really only leaves one potential important thing that I can mention. If this is something random, I'm definitely not going to look for this episode. Either it's going to be a capture, or maybe it could refer to an evolution of a Pokemon. Maybe Noibat and Eevee will both evolve here, maybe. Although, like I said, Noibat evolving here would be extremely weird and wouldn't make any sense, unlike the previous episode where it actually would make sense. So I don't think it's an evolution. I don't think the title refers to evolutions. I don't think there was ever. Now there could be Pokemon eggs, maybe. Maybe Serena will get a Pokemon egg, and maybe Ash will capture another Pokemon, or maybe they'll get an egg as a pairing. But since Ash already had an egg Pokemon, maybe he'll give it to Serena, and it'll hatch into some egg. So an egg is always a possibility. But like I said, there's only one other thing that it could be, and the only way that I would look forward to this episode, and if it's them getting a keystone. Now, a lot of people are saying mega rings, which is also a possibility, but a mega ring is just the holder of the keystone. And frankly, I would prefer Ash and Serena get unique keystone holders, like a mega sock, I guess, or a mega glove for Ash. Serena could probably get a mega earring or something like that. I don't know, but if it's going to be anything, I would want it to be a keystone. It could be mega rings. I don't think it's going to be mega stones or whatever, but it could be a mega ring or whatever, and I can see how Ash potentially might give his keystone to Sawyer, so it could mega evolve, but that's for another time. And until we get confirmation that this is what it's going to be, I'm not going to discuss that possibility very much. But there, like I said, there's only two possible ways that I'd be interested in this episode, and that's either a Pokemon gets caught, an egg is obtained, or a Pokemon evolves. So as long as it's revolving around the Pokemon, that's fine. The only other thing that I would look forward to this episode is if it's a keystone for both Ash and Serena. Anything else, I'm not going to care about. Like I said, there could not possibly be anything else that I would care about in regards to this episode if it was neither about a Pokemon or a keystone. If it's some sort of ribbon that shows the bond between Ash and Serena, I'm not going to look forward to the episode. If it's some sort of trophy they get for being the best dancers at the party, I'm not going to look forward to it. So, if it's going to be important, if this is going to be important and non-filler, technically, then either it's going to be in relation to a Pokemon, whether it's a capture, an egg, or an evolution, or the only other thing that would make this episode exciting is if they win, they get keystones. Until we get a summary, I have no idea what else to discuss about this particular episode, other than the dance party, which will be interesting. I would assume that they would all dress up. Ash, Serena, Clement, and Bonnie would probably dress up, maybe even their Pokemon. I think it was KG Prestige Twitter that said that he would like to see Greninja and Braixen in this episode. That would be pretty cool. Braixen, or not Braixen. Yeah, Braixen. Greninja in a tuxedo and Braixen dressed up as a princess or whatever would be pretty interesting to see. Although when I said tuxedo or princess or whatever, I was thinking Frogadier for whatever reason. I think I think Greninja would be interesting in a tuxedo. So I'm thinking maybe they'll dress up their Pokemon and they'll dance or whatever. Hopefully all the Pokemon will show up, at least of Ash and Serena. Clement could have all his Pokemon show up, but it doesn't really matter. So like I said, I'm not really looking forward to this particular episode unless it has something to do with a specific Pokemon, whether it's caught, egg, or evolution, or a keystone. So for that, I think I'm done with the titles, but there is still one other thing that I'm going to mention. Okay, so up until now, I'm pretty sure I have not mentioned any sort of, or I haven't shown any pictures, and that's because these particular other episodes don't really have pictures to go with them. So, but there are like three pictures, or I might, it depends, but we got a small upcoming episodes preview. It wasn't really an upcoming episodes preview, but it was kind of because it had new scenes in it. And there are three things that I want to talk about. The, f- the first and second thing I'll talk about is Ash versus Shota or Sawyer, whatever you want to call him. I think I'll call him Sawyer. Ash versus Alain, and Alain versus Zygarde 50% form. Those are the three things that I want to talk about, and that's what we get. And that's what the upcoming episodes mini preview kind of showed. It showed us episodes that we already had, and I think some of it may have been the Terminus episode, and I think Lysander was talking, and then Ash got upset, and then we got some new scenes, and it was a sneak peek of the upcoming episodes preview from the New Year's special thing coming up. So yeah, I want to go ahead and discuss those particular things now. Now, the one thing that I want to link right now, and I've already heard discussion about this, KG Prestige talking to like John, I believe, and Tyrone, and they were talking about this. Apparently, Ash versus Shota and Ash versus Lawn is potentially taking place in the same location. Now, this could be a two-parter where it starts with Ash versus Sawyer, and then Alon will see this, and of course, it'll be Ash versus Alon. The important thing to note about these particular battles is that Ash's Greninja will be trying to transform or trying to use its Ash Greninja form. So, first off, I want to talk about Ash versus Sawyer. Now, based on the scenes that we got, it is confirmed that Sawyer's Grovyle is evolving, whether it's on screen or off screen. Sawyer's Grovyle is going to evolve, and there will be a battle between Sceptile and Greninja, and Ash Greninja will actually appear. And of course, probably within the same episode or the following episode, Ash will be battling Alon in pretty much the same place. Now, there isn't really a lot I can discuss except probably what leads to this and other extra things and what this could happen. But one thing I want to note during the battle with Ash versus Alon, I don't really like the fact that Mega Charizard X is using Thunder Punch against Greninja because it really makes no sense to me um, that because Alon is battling Zygarde 50% form, a Pokemon that is completely resists and is immune to electric types, that having Charizard using Thunder Punch against Greninja just really wouldn't make any sense to me. However, of course, the writers and producers would do that just to give Alon even a greater advantage over Ash's Greninja. Of course, there is the possibility that this may reflect and maybe Thunder Punch won't do as much damage because of what's possibly going on with Greninja being surrounded by that torrent of water. But giving Alon a greater advantage over Ash's Greninja, even if it is an Ash Greninja, just really doesn't sit well with me simply because Alon's Mega Charizard X could probably defeat Greninja by itself, even using not very effective moves or whatever. So yeah, having Thunder Punch giving Alon even a greater advantage really doesn't really make much sense to me at all, and kind of disappointing altogether, especially when you consider that Charizard is more weak against rock types. When Charizard Mega Evolves into its X form, it loses its weakness to electric types. It becomes resistant, or not electric type. Well, it actually does. It becomes normal when it becomes a dragon type, but when it becomes a dragon type, it loses its weakness to water types. Therefore, it wouldn't have any reason to have an electric type move because Mega Charizard X takes neutral damage against water type Pokemon, which is why I was mistaken when I was talking about Alain versus Seabold, that Alain did very well against Seabold despite the type disadvantage, but in reality, Mega Charizard X takes natural damage for water types because of its dragon typing. However, the one thing that, regardless of what type Charizard is, unless it becomes something very special, what it won't lose, its weakness to rock types. Charizard is naturally the weakest to rock types because it is a fire flying Pokemon. Becoming a dragon type does not take away that weakness. It's still a fire dragon Pokemon and therefore still weak against, of course, rock types. Sure, it gains in a weakness to fairy types, and I think that's it, and dragon types, but it's still weak against rock types. So having a move that's super effective against the rock types would make more sense for Charizard to have, especially when you consider Mega Charizard Y keeps the typing and is still 4 times weak against rock type moves. So it is very inconvenient, in my opinion, or it's too convenient for Alain's Charizard X to have Thunder Punch. So now I want to talk about what probably is going to lead up to. I'm not really sure the Ash versus Sawyer thing is going to be really explained outside of they just appear. But how Alain appears is what I want to discuss. And of course, KG Prestige did talk about this in his particular video in regards to this, and it was brought up primarily, I think, by Tyrone. But one thing I think they overlooked, and maybe they talked about it, I didn't finish the rest of their video because I kind of got annoyed by something they were talking about in regards to Ash's Greninja. But anyway, what I think is, because I think Ash and company are going to succeed against Terminius Cave, obviously, given episode 10 is about Bonnie and Puni-chan. What I think is, I think Ash and company are going to be mentioned to Lysander. They're going to be like the Celosia, I think is Celosia. Yeah, Celosia and Bryony are probably going to tell Lysander about Ash and company, and then Lysander is going to be talking about Xerosic. And I think I actually mentioned this before, or maybe it was just in the forums, but I thought that Lysander was going to talk about bringing Alain into this, as mentioned in the KG Prestige video, a hitman basically. Lysander sending Alain out to get Puni-chan from Ash, which is probably how I think it's going to happen. However, there is another chance that there could be something else. Maybe Lysander just accepts that Puni-chan isn't caught yet because of Puni-chan, and they're still working out a way to get it. And right now, Alain should be focusing more on Zygarde 50% form, which I will discuss momentarily or in a moment. But yeah, so I feel like that Lysander might send Alain after Ash and company to try and get Puni-chan. Of course, the probably what I expect more uh, is that Alain just stumbles upon Ash battling against Sawyer. And this is something that was definitely mentioned and something that makes absolute sense, especially since it does seem that Ash versus Alain and Sawyer take place in the same location, is that Alain sees Ash battling against Sawyer and sees that Greninja has this different form, which what appears to be Mega Evolution, but not actually Mega Evolution, but it's an evolved form of Greninja, even though, but it is temporary. So Alain would be interested and would want to battle this form because he does like Mega Evolutions, and this Greninja form might appear to be a Mega Greninja. So he might want to test his strength against that, and of course that makes sense or whatever. Now, I want to talk about this briefly. I'll probably discuss this later, maybe sometime in January, maybe, hopefully, maybe I can try and get my other laptop fix, but I just want to talk about this briefly. And this is in regards to the Greninja and Ash storyline arc that'll probably happen, which will end up resulting in Ash and Greninja mastering and perfecting the Ash Greninja form. Now, the one thing that I disagreed about KG Prestige and John and Tyrone in their video, and the reason why I couldn't finish the video, is their interpretation of what is going to happen in regards to Ash and Greninja. And like I said, I only want to talk about this as little as possible, but their suggestion of Greninja leaving Ash because Greninja doesn't deem Ash as a worthy trainer doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, especially given that Froakie chose Ash not because Froakie believed Ash was a competent trainer, but because Ash provided love for Froakie. Froakie had no reason to believe that Ash was a competent trainer. The battle between Ash and Clement was relatively neutral, and Pikachu wasn't exactly doing too well against Team Rocket, and Froakie had to intervene. When Froakie was injured, Ash took Froakie to Professor Sycamore's lab and talked about it, was worried, and that's how the bond started. And Ash was very worried about Froakie the entire time. And then they got onto Prism Tower. And it was probably ultimately Ash jumping off the Prism Tower to save Pikachu that ultimately led Froakie to choose Ash. Ash choosing or Froakie choosing Ash solely for the possibility that Ash was a competent trainer does not make any sense whatsoever, especially when you consider that Olympia specifically said that Froakie chose Ash, or Frogadier chose Ash because Ash provided love, which is something that the other trainers did not provide. Maybe Froakie was looking for a competent trainer, but it was also looking for love. So basically, all the other trainers were like Paul and potentially and other things or whatever, and Froakie just didn't deem them worthy because they didn't offer that love that Ash did. So the suggestion that Greninja would leave Ash because Ash is not a competent trainer doesn't make any sense to me. It seems more likely, given what we know about the Froakie, Frogadier, and Greninja, that Greninja would leave Ash because it deems itself unworthy to be a Pokemon of Ash. Now, Ash and Greninja can fight, and maybe Greninja will get upset that it leaves Ash to get some space, kind of like how after Serena yelled at Fennekin and Pancham, the episode that Fennekin evolved, that Serena just had to go and leave because she was so upset that she actually yelled at her Pokemon. So it makes more sense to me that Greninja would leave not because Ash is incompetent, but because Greninja thinks it's incompetent and isn't worthy to be with Ash. I feel like that makes more sense. But of course, I will talk about that in the future more heavily. But right now, we need to talk about one last thing, and that's, of course, Alain versus Zygarde 50% form. Now, in the preview that we got, it's a very quick scene, but we did see Zygarde 50% form, and it was using what a lot of people are speculating to be extreme speed, using it on Mega Charizard X, which belongs to Alain. Now, granted, I suppose it's possible, even though it wouldn't really make any sense, but they did it with B Sharp, that it's probably not Alain battling Mega Charizard X, but it would make sense considering Alain is the only one relating to Team Flare that would relate to Zygarde that would have Mega Charizard X. So Alain does seem to be battling against Zygarde 50% form, and this could either lead to Blue Core Puni-chan or something else entirely. So I do expect a small scene of Zygarde battling against Alain. However, I'm not going to really discuss very much because these episodes don't have titles. probably might happen in February, maybe even March. It's really not certain what's going to happen, but the 3 episodes in January do not seem to be relating to it. However, that being said, the Alain versus Zygarde 50% form potentially could happen in the 10th episode, now that I think about it, because that's relating to Bonnie and Puni-chan. Um, and since Zygarde 50% form is probably maybe not going to show up in the uh, Terminus episode, because it probably already left Terminus Cave, since we've already seen it, and it's probably going hiding somewhere else because its home was ruined or something like that. And it's probably why Puni-chan is probably forced to become 10% form, is because there is no Zygarde 50% form to become complete. So I feel like maybe it is possible for Alain to battle Zygarde 50% form in the Bonnie and Puni-chan episode. Although that would be a weird transition, so it probably won't happen. But right now, we have no idea what's going to happen. Right now, these episodes are kind of hit and miss for me. The only one that looks any remotely interesting, of course, is the Noibat and Floette episode. It just depends on what exactly is going to happen in that dance party episode, and whether or not something more exciting will happen in the Bonnie and Puni-chan episode. But outside of that, that's all I had to discuss. Thankfully, this was its own video, since it's already been like 45 minutes, 46 minutes. So hopefully I'll cut it down so it's like 45, something like that. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.